everybody, and welcome back to KF&JF podcast. We're so happy today. The day is one of those days that we really are excited. We have a guest on our show that has a lot of good information, and not only that, her business understanding is just so diverse, and we're just so interested to dig into that and to find out a little bit how she was able to do and maneuver through all of these different areas of business as an entrepreneur. So I'm looking forward to hearing from her, and man, I'm sure you are too. So let's everybody just sit back and relax, and this is going to be a show that's going to bring all of our ears up to good information. But first, let's introduce ourselves to, again, our co-host, Razak.
Hello, everybody. I am the CEO and founder of United Minority Business Ventures. My purpose is to assist with the creative process and maintenance of your business. And I do this by forming opportunities to communicate and collaborate with your followers and subscribers or other business owners. We use a wide range of networking tools and methods to achieve results. And we assist in the ideas associated with social media marketing, building your marketing profile, creating your marketing strategy, building your financial profile for your business, branding your product or merchandising. We also do a little content writing, and we may also determine what licenses are needed to operate your business, or owning your domain, or buying into pre-existing sites that host your page. We also like to assist with managing your website by selecting posts that create subscriptions, comments, and likes, or by generating comments on another individual business site or page that create a dialogue of conversation directed towards your page. I'd just like to say, Erika, it's a pleasure to have you on the show today.
Thank you.
Yes, Erika. Everybody's looking forward to all this great information that you're going to put forward today.
Yeah.
And one of the other things, just to thank Razak on, because he's been doing a lot of work lately and putting these things together and helping us to build the podcast, as well as help other people that are out there to succeed in their business goals. And one of the things that we are also thanking our subscribers and listeners for is going to the Joy Beloved website and making those purchases. And we do really appreciate that. And for not to take too much more time, Erika, let's go. Introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name's Erika. I've been, in the business world for probably, 10 years now. But things really took off for me in 2017. That's really when I started kind of like really working in the branding industry. It was really something that I just needed like a change of pace. I was in the sales industry and marketing, and I was building websites, and I kind of wanted to do more for the people that I was building websites for, because I realized that, my expertise in the look of the site and the functionality of it was actually increasing sales for a lot of people who were struggling with all of those things. And I realized that I could do more for them, because even though I had done, what I was paid to do, there was so much more I still could do. So I ended up kind of jumping into branding, and I wanted to change of pace, as well as I was also bartending too, and I wanted to not do that anymore. And so I jumped into branding, and that blew up really fast in my first year. I jumped into six figures really fast, and I actually had a Etsy store that turned into a six-figure store back in 2017. This is like way before what it is now, and it was very hard. Nobody knew really what it was. And so I really focused on helping really small business owners in the beauty industry elevate their brand, and that evolved into me helping them get into big retail stores. And this actually I continued on with this until about 2020, when I became a coach for beauty business owners and helping them push themselves into six figures and above. And so I actually was able to build out an entire team. I had coaches underneath me and everything. I then became pregnant with twins, which kind of blew everything up for me. So I had to kind of slow down a little bit, and found permanent jewelry and custom jewelry. I kind of fell in love with that. And so now I'm managing kind of all the things. And I'm actually in a salon now as well, doing custom jewelry as well as a lot of events and stuff. That's how I ended up meeting you guys. And yeah, so it's been a fun ride.
Man. That's the introduction for you right there.
Well, I'm starting to think that it's going to be a long conversation, guys. I'm telling you right now. But all that stuff that she's just mentioned, it's just one of those things where when she says 6 figures, my ears just went up to where that's a little bit where I'm trying to go to, them 6 figures, maybe 10 figures too. Even at whatever 12, whatever is the next figures, I want to go to that. Can you give our listeners a little bit of an update on what you're working on now? What are some of the things that you're doing to move around and help promote your business?
Yeah. So personally, for my own business, my focus right now is the jewelry side of things. So right now, I am mainly doing a lot of events, doing a lot of collaborations. I'm actually working on some big collaborations right now that I can't really talk about yet until they're launched, but that's very exciting, as well as just collaborating with big businesses, hotels, and event planners, people around the area who need my expertise. I'll be working with the Bridal Bazaar at the end of the month here in San Diego. That's huge. And we'll be actually donating a lot of permanent jewelry, so fine jewelry for brides and grooms. And then on the weekdays, I am in a salon in Point Loma, and I am assisting there, and just getting beautiful gold and silver jewelry on people.
Okay.
Well, Point Loma is a really good place to be selling some jewelry. That's for sure. You got customers over there that are not going to haggle about the prices of what you got there. And then there's a diversity of people there that are really, because I used to run through Point Loma a little bit, but they pull from different types of jewelry. Their eyes see different things that allow them to just, in the variety that you have, will be easy for you to be able to sell in that community. So let's talk a little bit about what's unique about you. What are some of the things that you find that not many people know about you and the things that you're doing internally? So some people think that you're this or that, but what is unique about yourself that you can share?
Oh, wow. That people don't know. I'm kind of what you see is what you get. So I would say that probably, I'm juggling a lot right now. So I'm the typical mom who's got 100, things I've got in my head that I'm trying to manage. So, whereas I do have a lot that I've accomplished and stuff, there's a lot more that I want to do. And a lot of it takes a lot of organization, being able, like I said, collaboration is everything. Being able to really use luckily I'm a pretty friendly person, but my social skills to get to know people and really be able to use my network to help me in ways where my hard work cannot get to because of my limited time. So I'd say that's probably right now the thing that I maybe think that people don't think about when it comes to like how I run things and how I do things. And that's something that I've really had to utilize lately.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that's hard to do. You got to stay on top of, you're the way you are. Razak?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. So let's dive in. Okay. You said a lot. I was trying to write down some questions for you aside from this questionnaire we have, because you just laid it down. It's a good introduction. Okay. So let's jump into this. Okay. Can you recall a specific moment or event that sets you on the path to where you are today?
Yeah. I would say that, a lot of good things happen from bad things, right? So like I said, a lot of times the pain happens in your life. Maybe you don't like your job. I didn't like my bartending job. I made a lot of money in it. I worked at a very high-end bartending a restaurant while I did websites, and the pain from not wanting to go to work caused me to pivot into something different, which changed everything for me and was kind of the catalyst for everything. And so, and again, the pain of having twins and the pregnancy and the health problems pivoted me into opening up my jewelry business, which now is another aspect of my life that is, fueling me and doing very well. And so it's just like it's funny how a lot of people don't realize that, they're in it right now, they're in the storm, they're in the dark part, right? And they don't realize that it's actually showing them what it takes, or it's pushing them towards the thing that is what they're meant to do, or better than their current situation. And so you have to listen to those inner feelings, those inner emotions, and just be really in tune with that and listen to yourself, and not kind of get caught up in the fact that it's a bad time, or maybe things aren't going the way you want them to, or the results aren't happening. If the results aren't happening, you have to look deeper in that. You don't want to just say to yourself, oh, it's because I'm not smart, or I'm a loser, or I can't figure this out, or it's taking me too much time. You need to look at the cues and say, am I feeling for a reason? Am I in this darkness for a reason? What is going to get me, what is this telling me? And that's really, for me, every single time, because I'm such a hard worker and I'm so dedicated, I tend to not want to quit. I want to keep going, I try really hard to make things happen. But what happens with that is that, when you're working off of your own efforts, that is limited. That is time. Time, unfortunately, is always going to limit you. Your own efforts will always limit you. And unfortunately, when you're in a dark spot because, let's say, you're not where you want to be, that's a huge sign to let you know that there are other avenues out there that will give you what you want, and it doesn't require that hard work and that effort, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah, that's
Makes
a
great
lot.
sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm writing down here. We have, man, you got jewelry. You got you was doing some branding. You know what I mean? You're talking about health problems. You know what I mean? Bartending. You was talking about web building. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's try to piece this together right here and take this one by one, if you can, and expound on each one of these. What were the challenges or setbacks that, in hindsight, played a crucial role in your personal development? Because you, in order for, I mean, so you was in service a lot. You're dealing with customer service, I should say. With a lot of these businesses. So, what was some crucial moments or some setbacks that
Mm-hmm,
put
mm-hmm.
you on the path?
Yeah. So, I've been in the service-based industry for a long time. And I mean, honestly, my first jobs were in the service-based industry, and I was lucky enough to be taught that customer service is important. I don't think that's taught that much anymore. I mean, we
Right.
say this all the time, like it's just so hard to find good help these days, right? Or it's so hard to find a good worker these days. Being a good worker teaches you a lot. Now, while I just said that, you can't get trapped in the hardworking aspects of that, the employee mindset, essentially, or self-employed mindset. Um, when it comes down to it, you know, those things still will be the thing that will help catapult you. So, when you say customer service, that's not really the issue for me. For sure, in the day-by-day problems, which aren't big problems in my opinion,
Yeah.
yeah, there's going to be a rude customer or whatever that says something. I mean, you have this no matter what, it doesn't matter. That's not something, if you're going to let that eat you up, definitely don't get into business, because what's going to happen is you see, you got to think ahead. I say this to my clients, right? The clients who get coaching from me. You got to think ahead. So as you are responding to your clients and your customers, as you are, treating them a certain way, you're creating those processes and those things for your future employees. So let me ask you a question. If you were rude to somebody who was rude to you, maybe because, for instance, I had a customer who was came up to me at a event, and She probably spent 30 minutes wanting me to move around all the little terms, the perfect little way she wanted it. I had clients who, or potential clients who were walking away because she was taking so long. I was worried that I was losing sales, but I still was just nice, and I still did what I had to do. Well, for me, it's more important to show that, because what's funny is, my husband was with me that day. He said, I can't tell you how many people were actually watching you through this process. And they came back because they were watching you and they were watching how you interact and stuff. And so it's very important to be a representation of your business as a whole, and also to have vision, to know that it's not just you. If you plan on, in my opinion, anybody who gets in a business, they should be thinking big. They should be thinking like, I'm going to have 10 employees. I'm going to have whatever. And so you have to be thinking, am I a good representation of my business? And would I be okay with an employee talking to somebody this way? Right. And also too, the effort and the energy that it takes to go back and forth with people and fight with them and get like hostile and stuff. Oh my God, not worth it. Let the pride go and just focus on the dollars. And if you can focus, and also too, think about what that does for you mentally. So business is funny, where it will show you what like your inner child issues are and what your mental issues are and stuff. So it taught me that I actually had a low self-worth when I started hiring employees, because I would just let them walk all over me and things like that. So there's things that you don't even know that it's going to teach you, and it's so important for you to focus on healing those things. So if it bothers you that somebody talks to you a certain way, why does it bother you? Where did that come from? How can you heal that so that you can put the pride aside and focus on what really matters, which is feeding your business, which is revenue, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. There was a lot going on right there. That was a lot going on right there. I'm gonna have to. I picked out some words, out of all that. I just was like, okay, I'm gonna grab this.
Yeah.
Because a couple of times, when we talk to people, we ask them, and I'm glad you touched on that right there, because you had said something about the self-employed mind state, right? And that's, I haven't heard it termed that way, but that was good the way you said it. And then you was like, okay, well, it was a mental state that you had to be in, and then you shocked me when you said, people was kind of walking all over you at first. So when it comes to the self-employed mind state, could you like kind of expound on that? Okay, so from where you started at, where people were like, because you're coaching people now, so in that aspect of when you started and how people was treating you and how you had to adapt to how, hey, I got to be a little bit more, bolder, I guess. I mean, how did you work through that process?
Yeah. So there's a lot like that I could unpack there. So it's interesting. So for those who haven't heard of like Robert Kiyosaki, it's good to start with like his books to understand, like Cash Flow Quadrant would be a good one, to understand that there's no difference between an employee and a self-employed. In fact, self-employed is even worse when it comes to taxes. But aside from like the logistics, that kind of stuff, when it comes to being self-employed, it's just you. So you still have that. It's essentially, it's the same thing as an employee. Employee thinks about, what time am I off? How can I do the bare minimum to not get fired? So that I can go do what I want to do on the weekend, right? A self-employed person is essentially the same thing. So self-employed is anybody really that's, if they're getting good tax advice, anybody who makes less than 6 figures, who works for themselves. So, it can be a CPA, it can be a hairstylist, it can be even a lawyer who's working for themselves, or, it can be a lot of different types of people. And so, the goal is to get over to the business owner, so employer or investor side of the quadrant, if you were to look at the cash flow quadrant. And so the mindset though is very different in that, again, you're not thinking about you. It's a bigger picture thing. It's like kind of like being a parent, right? So being a business owner is like having a child. You have to feed and bathe and take care of that child. That child cannot take care of itself. How that child turns out in life will be based off of how you treat it. Literally, what I was just saying, you have to, as an adult, unpack and heal childhood wounds that your parents didn't even know they were putting in you, so that you can be successful in life. Even if you had a good childhood, there are people who have to heal things. So the same thing goes with your business. So if you are, if you're a hairstylist, or you're a vendor who sells at an event, and somebody comes up to you and they're rude, for instance, you have to think bigger, and you have to think about, what is this interaction going to do for the longevity of my business? If you are constantly burning bridges, cutting, I mean, that lady, by the way, who was that way with me, she was like, really, she even argued with me about my pricing and stuff, just a overall the high maintenance person. She ended up buying 3 bracelets for me. She spent like $150 on charm bracelets, not even real gold, like just gold dipped, like something you can get at Nordstrom's easy. Like, she spent a grip. And I'm sure that she bought some for her daughters and stuff, and I'm sure those daughters now see my stuff. I have little things where I give them I take care of them, where I say, if there's any issues with it, please contact me. See, I ask for it. I'm not scared to say, if there's a problem, contact me. A lot of people, they say, I don't want the problems, don't contact me, right? Especially because you were difficult. I'm the opposite. I want to take care of my clientele, because the thing is that, the thing about me is, even with the Etsy shop or my branding, I never really have had to really focus too much on marketing. Word of mouth has been a huge thing for me. And that's because I take care of people and they trust me. They know that when I tell them something, it's real. It's not just to like get the money and then take off, right? And so it's very, very important to take care of the people that are coming into your business. And now, does this mean let them walk all over you? No, that doesn't mean that. You can absolutely, there have been times where I decide to end a relationship with a client for my own good. And there are times also too, where I have terms and clients want to try and abuse those terms. I'm not going to let them walk all over my terms. I'm going to make sure that my terms are on point, though, so that they don't walk all over my terms. Or so in the case that they think that they can do what they want to do with, the money they've paid me or something, I know that I'm going to be covered in that instance. And so this doesn't mean, it's kind of like when they say, forgive for yourself, don't forgive for the other person. I'm doing this all for me, to protect me, so that my business can grow, so I don't struggle financially or get back to hard times or anything. And so you got to weigh pros and cons, your pride or the bills, right? And we do this with jobs anyway. Right? If you're an employee, you still have to deal with the rude people, and it sucks because there's no, control. You just got to do it. But as a person who owns their business, you can choose to take the high road, and then you're still you're still taking it to the bank.
Right. I was about to ask you about a moment of triumph, but that kind of sounds like a moment of triumph, how you're overcoming those obstacles and those battling
Yeah.
with a customer, and you're thinking like I guess probably Keith might get more into it, of being at the vending service and having a route. Now you and packed up, came there all day, what I mean, trying to get your sales in, trying to, hey, I created these things and stuff, and somebody gets, mouthy with you. I mean, I
Sure.
know that has to be frustrating. That has to be something that has learned right there, because I know at some points in times when I was an
And this is
employee.
one aspect, by the way. I mean, there's a lot of ways that you can incorporate good customer service and taking care of people, not putting yourself first all the time. For instance, I'm one of the only permanent jewelers who doesn't charge for a reweld if something snaps. So the reason why I do this is because it costs me less than $2 to reweld it. And whereas my competitors charge $15 for that reweld, I can't tell you how many times like somebody has said, oh my God, it snapped while I was like, working out or whatever. And I reweld, and then they get another bracelet, and I made another, $180 out of it. And so it's like when you're so focused on lack and you're so focused on trying to retain, right? Retention is important in itself. Absolutely. However, retention will happen naturally with good customer service. But when you're so focused on lack and trying to hold on to what you have, which is why people don't like to invest in their businesses, why they haggle, why they maybe haggle with somebody like you or me who says, we're this much for a website. And they say, well, I only have, that comes from a state of lack. right? And so when you have this state of lack, you actually block yourself from these opportunities and that will create more, more money, more success for you. And so it's really, again, though, don't blame yourself totally and beat yourself up, because lack comes from those childhood wounds. It comes from all the stuff you got to do to fix, what's going on in your brain. So, you got to do the inner work too. Yeah.
Okay, it seems like you're leading right into these next questions right here. You doing great job. Okay, so going on, see, so the question is, who are the individuals you look up to as role models, but and how have they influenced your values, but in your mindset? But I don't really want to touch on who you look up to, because you're doing your thing regardless. So I want to touch on how the upcoming before your business and for each business, how are you influenced in the sense of going from one business to the next? Like, how did you make that career path, and was it somebody else's influence, or was it just you saying, hey, this isn't working, I want to try this? Or what I mean, how did that go about in the sense
Yeah.
of
So like,
or influences?
yeah. Well, one thing, I'm always open. That's the thing I always like to say, is I'll never say no to somebody talking to me about an opportunity or something they possibly can think of, because I don't believe in having lack. I think that if something exists that I want, I can definitely have the time for it. And, I mean, for instance, look at, these investors who invest into hundreds of companies and they make it work. Right. And so I'm always open. With the Etsy shop, that was kind of which is kind of what pushed me into branding and stuff. That was kind of I stumbled on it because, like I said, I was looking. I was bored of my situation. I was just bored of doing websites and then hanging out at the bar, and doing bartending. And it was just the same old stuff every day. And I wanted to be home. And I just started looking, and I remembered my favorite client. I said to myself, okay, so I focused on me. What's going to make me happy? Everything starts with happiness, by the way. I used to not believe
Right.
that. I used to believe that it's not always about being happy, but it actually is, because you will burn out if you don't actually go back to the happiness thing. But I said to myself, what client made me the happiest? What client did I enjoy working for the most? And it was these girls who, one of them's really big now. Her name's Ima Slayo Bay. If you look her up, she's she's all over the place. But they were my favorites to work for, because I got to be super creative with their stuff. It wasn't super corporate-y. It was like glitter and like, this glitter drip they had, and like a cool font and stuff. And so anyway, I helped them create like 3 websites, and I was like, I want to do more of this. So then I got into Black owned business hair extension, like branding. And I was like, this is awesome. This is fun. Like, it's like totally my style. I'm having a lot of fun. And that expanded into working with a lot of Black owned hair brands that, they were doing really well with hair growth oil, and very cool, because it's so funny, their followings, when they grow up, it's so cool seeing just like this passion and this dedication to like the whoever's owns the shampoo line that you love. And like, I just saw this thing that I liked more than what I was working with, which was like just kind of like whatever businesses, a lot of male owned businesses, a lot of just like software company things that were kind of corporate-y and boring for me. So but that expanded me, and I realized, God, there's a huge lack here, because the people who were doing a lot of designing at the time weren't very good. And I noticed a low standard in what was accepted in this niche because of what was available. And so I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and turn things up a little bit, and I'm going to bring in some awesome stuff. And I just became known through that. And it, like I said, I did not have to market myself at all. I was good. And then through this, I started working with the big brands who ended up, when 2020 hit and Target and Walmart and CVS said, we want to shift focus, I was just there for the opportunity. And it was like all my girls who were doing so good, and I was just their regular designer and branding, help with branding. I was just there for them to say, okay, you're the one, because you're good at what you do, because I actually cared, because it mattered to me that these girls' stuff look good. I was like, okay, your stuff looks like crap right now, because whoever's paying you, or you're paying, they just want to make a quick buck. It was a hustle for them. That's not what it was for me. For me, I was like, I'm going to make these girls who are just working out of their homes and stuff, I'm going to elevate their look, and it's going to look good. And that ended up paying me in the long run, because I was the person who, they came to when they got accepted into, or what helped them with their acceptance into these retail stores. And it just kind of blew up from there. And then it blew up for me, because now I became the person that everybody trusted and could trust. And again, this came from the inner dialogue that I had with myself. I was like, I'm not going to just do this for some cash, right? I'm going to do this because I want to make a difference. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So would you say when you first started, it was more of a, kind of like on a more of a free service, something that was making you feel good, and then it became something that you was like, okay, well, I'm
No.
getting paid for this?
No. Yeah, no, I don't do that. I don't do everything.
Sounds like
At
that.
lower end, like, like my rates are like triple what they were, or quadruple now. But again, that takes time. Everything takes time, right? I knew my worth. I wasn't willing to just say, oh, people need to pay me my worth. Like, I said, let's start where we're at. And and I knew I did the market research. I knew what the market could afford. I knew my girls couldn't afford $150 or $200 for a label design. I knew this stuff. So I learned what they could, and I worked with them on it. And I started to, to help me, I started to do things like I said, I used Etsy to be able to offer things like Affirm and stuff, so that they could do payments and stuff. I knew my market and what they could do. So that matters, right? So like you said, you mentioned Point Loma. Point Loma has got me like, they've got me on my toes right now, because I've literally been working on mostly like gold, filled, sterling silver, more of the okay pricing that, based off of the research I've done, these are the more popular stuff. No, these ladies, everybody wants 14K gold. So now I am catching up and trying to fill my 14K gold stock. And they all just want to, they said, don't even offer gold filled at the salon, because we would rather pay higher, right? So I'm learning, and I invest in who I'm selling to, so that when the need is there, I'm right there. Right. It's kind of like the sell this pen kind of a thing. Like, oh, please sell me this pen. Hey, can you write me something? Yeah, I need a pen. Perfect. Right. So I'm the thing they need. Right. So yeah.
All right, let me ask you one more question. I feel like I'm taking up time, and pass it to Keith, so he's not just sitting there over there. You said you wanted to.
No, I'm listening. My sheet is full, so it's gonna be a hell of a ride.
Okay, it says okay, so this goes right into, because earlier you said there was more of what you wanted to do. Is that in terms of like your goals, or of a bucket list, or for your business, or your personal life?
I'm one of those people that, like, my idea of rest is to go like start a new business. I can't just like sit there and watch TV. I love to do this. So I'll never be like, oh yeah, I'm good. So, everything will always expand. The thing that I have had to learn this year that I didn't really, you know what, like, and this might be good for the, for who's listening or whatever, but when you are not born in and most of us aren't, when you're not born in a family or a situation in childhood where you're taught how to make money, and you're taught, when you're told things like money doesn't grow on trees, or you're taught that like money is something you have to hold on to, and it's hard to get, and you can't. I remember saying, to my parents, I want to be a singer when I was a kid, and they were like, no, that's too hard. Like, focus on being like an architect or something. So I was artsy. And just all those little things that like we're told as kids, that messes with us. It actually, we bring it into our childhood. And so what came of that and all that for me was, I realized that all this stuff that I'd been told and taught in a way that I'd kind of like pushed down and thought I was doing a good job. I mean, even at, And, even at like making 30 and 40 grand a month, that was all off my own efforts. And I was like, something's got to give. This is a lot. And this is not the way to live. And I had to learn that a lot of times you don't have to work so hard. You don't have to put that effort in so hard. Like, you don't have to feel it, right? A lot of us we were employees because what do? When you turn 16, you get a job. I had to get a job because my family didn't have the money to pay for my gas to get to school, to pay for my clothes or anything. So I had to work. And so those things, in life, seeing all that, experiencing that for me created whereas everybody would say, oh, Erika's a hard worker, Erika's so like, whatever. It actually was bad for me because I learned that my efforts were how I get results. And so that sticks you in a time frame, which creates a limitation. So if you're going to be a business owner, when I got into actually not just business, but business where you have employees, things kind of shook me, right? So even though I was making a lot of money, I was shaken because I then had to change my mindset off of effort and focus on really how to navigate building and growing off of other people's efforts. And and so for me, that was a big, I lost so much money doing it. Learning and paying people who didn't care about their job, and like trying to find other people and all that, trying to make them happy. And so these are all the things that it doesn't matter who you are or what you do or what you accomplish. Like I said, I'd already been making money. Everybody thinks, oh, once I hit 6 figures, I'm going to do it. Like, it's going to be great. But no, it's just the beginning. You get the bug. And so for me, I had to focus back on, again, I had to revert back to myself and why I did the things that I did. And that's why now, I don't even know if I'm answering your question. I feel like I've gone into a whole whatever, but
no, go ahead. You can. It's about you.
Yeah,
it's
basically,
you. It's about
where
you.
where I grew up, and I think maybe a lot of listeners are. I think you were telling me about them. Maybe a lot of them feel this way too, where they had to grow up and they had to work really hard to get anything, right? And they're told hustle. I was told hustle. I could hustle, man. Like I said, I hustled into big months, but it only got me so far. And at some point you crash and burn. So if you really want to create something that lasts and you want to be able to do lots of things, life is about not just what you can accomplish for your family, but what can you do for everybody else? Can you give to charities? Do you have enough money to give to charities, or is it just enough for you? Right? Are you able to give to the church? Are you able to, whatever's important to you? What can you do to the world, for the world and stuff? And so that requires a different mindset. It's more than the hustle. It requires healing yourself. So that therapy, or, that shadow work, or whatever you want to call it, and it requires you focusing on having a vision that's bigger than you.
Having a vision that's bigger than you. That's right. That's how you get things done right there.
Well, I
Keith?
say what? I say, here we go. And it's going to be shocking. But I think a couple of things that you talked about that I'm going to cover a little bit of a different area, but at the same time, I think there's going to be some cross to it. And one of the things I like to start off with is the fact that you talked about you, right? So what do you want to do and how things make you happy? And one of the things that we've talked to a lot of different people, and one of the things about entrepreneurship is the fact that you got to like it. You got to want to do it. It's got to be fun for you. It ain't going to be everybody that's going to be on the ship with you. Not everybody's going to be riding with you. So your mental health is the most important part to be able to promote your business.
Especially if you did not grow up in a good household or anything like that. Any kind of struggle, you really got to focus on that. Like, make it an important thing.
Yeah, it's got to be something you like. And I think that that's an important thing that you mentioned. And another thing that you mentioned along with that is one thing that I do, and that is the TV thing, right? So when you're an entrepreneur and you have that like spirit going in your head and all through your body, you find TV like a waste of time. I find it sometimes like when I watch it, it's like, oh man, what am I doing? I want to be doing something that's gonna help a business, create a business. I don't care. I just gotta put that information on paper and try to establish something. So TV is one of those things that I don't get along with. So talk a little bit about why you came to that point where you realized that you have this beating you for business.
Oh, like what made me get into business, or like why I wanted to do that versus like being an employee?
Yeah, like
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no,
well,
that's been since I was.
compared to your
Yeah, no, go ahead, go ahead.
no, compared to your TV,
Yeah.
and
Oh, versus
not being,
like the relaxing stuff.
not
You
being
know what?
attentive. Yeah.
Yes, it's funny you say that. So I would say even that could be a what do you call that? Like a fault of mine or something, because I'm not very good at relaxing. I would say that it's more, I have an addiction to work. I would say, because here's what I'll tell you. If you're in that mindset where you're open to opportunity, okay, it can come from anywhere. It'll come from anywhere. It'll come from, I was just telling a girlfriend of mine who owns a salon, and she's, overwhelmed and stressed out right now. And, I told her, like, she's got to go for a hike. She's got to get back into that mind frame of like, out of the survival mode mind frame, because just so you know, when you're in survival mode, when you can't pay your bills every month, when you have stuff going on that is stressing you out, you're in a trauma brain. You're not even thinking the same, that you're not even seeing things the same way that is even in reality. So that's why I keep going back to that. Right. But going into that, so in my opinion, it could be an addiction to work that I have, whereas it makes me feel uncomfortable to like have the TV on. But here's what I'll tell you. Like I was saying, just because you have the TV on, it doesn't mean that an opportunity can't come from that. So I've been watching some TV shows. I've actually, to calm me down at night, I've been throwing on, I've done like the crime stuff. I'm over that. I'm through that. But I've gotten lately into like the alien stuff, and everybody's talking about aliens right now. It's like the biggest thing. I don't even have anything related in my business to aliens. But anyway, I was watching one of the ancient aliens things or something. This guy who's on it, and he's very well respected, and he's very smart. He's a very smart guy. And he works in the German government, and he's like a whistleblower. Anyway, I was talking to my husband about him, and I was telling him how smart he was. And I was like, you know what? Because my husband is I don't know what you would call him. Like, he's like an influencer on Instagram. He's like all these followers and stuff. And he's working on a podcast. And I was like, why don't you hit him up? Like, I just wonder if he would respond. These people seem reachable, right? I would have never known who this guy was if I wasn't watching these dumb shows about aliens. This guy reached back out to him, and he has a huge following, and he has, he's interesting. It's kind of like he's like a hot like thing right now for people to talk about. Well, my husband would have never gotten that opportunity to speak to that guy if I hadn't been watching this dumb show, while I was trying to wind down or whatever. So opportunities can come from anything. And so, what I'm saying is, like, you got to keep your heart open. You got to keep your mind open, and focus on, number one, happiness. So no, you can't just sit, like, you can't sit and watch TV all day and think that something's going to happen. That's not what I mean. You still have to work. You have to show whoever you believe in, right? Whether it's God, or for me, it's God. You have to show the world that you want something. If you don't know what you want, you have to start trying things, right? And not care about failing, because failing isn't real. That's totally in our heads, whatever that is. You're just trying 100 times. If you were a 7-year-old who was asking their parents if they could stay up for 30 minutes longer, you don't care how many times your parents say no. You're just going to continue trying until you get your way, right? So if we can think like that, yeah, even the Bible says, have faith like a child. This all, having, again, it goes to the adult brain, and the adult brain having all these limitations and these things that we tell ourselves isn't true. We think in terms of lack, where we think, oh, if I watch a TV show, I'm going to get nothing done, or like I said, for me, it's almost an addiction where I get like, I start to get nervous. Like I haven't done anything. I'm not doing anything. I should clean while I'm watching TV. I do these kind of things. And I think that has something to do with maybe my employee mindset, being taught that no matter what, you should always be working. You should always be moving, doing something, not just like standing around. Right. But anyway, opportunity can come from whatever. Focus on what makes you happy and what you enjoy, and it will happen. I was telling my girlfriend, I was like, you could be taking a hike and you stop at the coffee shop on the way, and it just so happens that somebody who's sitting there at the coffee table is exactly who you need to talk to. And that is the kind of stuff, that's where, again, that's the stuff that your efforts, that's not a part of that. That's you being open to opportunity.
Right. Right.
I think you're absolutely right about that. You know, you got to be able to pull pull it from wherever you can for business, whether you, like you say, TV, but sometimes, you know, I do get ideas in that way. And sometimes I do feel the other way that you're talking about. Well, you know what else can I be doing? Am I wasting time doing this? So I find that
This
what you're
podcast
saying
is a
is
great
very
example.
powerful.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, our event we were at, it was a dud that day. And you know what sucks about that? I was offered a huge event to be at in Pacific Beach that day, by a huge clothing line out there,
Wow.
which would have blown up for my business. And I chose this event instead because I wanted to be loyal and show that I'm not going to just bomb an event. But anyway, this event ended up being a dud. It was in a really weird area because nobody knew about it. So anyway, we didn't really make any money, but I was able to meet you, and here we are. You were able to get a guest, and I'm here on a podcast. So was it really a dud? I don't know. You know, we don't know where this is going to lead. Maybe it's years later.
You know what? That's the power. That's the power of networking. That's the power of networking.
And that was also you turning a nothing into a something. That was, you know what I mean? Like, that's you not sitting there and feeling sorry for yourself, but you saying, all right, I'm going to turn this into something. Right. And so all these things, like little like personality, they matter. All this stuff matters. It's your mind. It's the things you believe in. Yeah.
I think you're right about that, because I didn't even put everything I wanted. I looked it up before I went. I was like, nah, you know, I'm just not, you know, it's just whatever. And then I'll start thinking, you know, I do have a podcast, you know, I can pull some of these people in that way and try to do that. And that's my goal when I go places, is to try to do both. But one of the questions I have for you that you talked about earlier was, you mentioned a little bit about health problem. And I was just wondering how did that affect you in your business? How did that, you know, what issues that you find that you have to overcome in order to keep going in your business?
Yeah, that was a trial for sure. I mean, I've always been like a healthy person. The twins, my pregnancy was not a great one. So I had like gestational hypertension, which caused me to in the last trimester, I was having to go to the ER like every day because my blood pressure was going through the roof, where they had to sit me and down on and like help me like lower the blood pressure. And then if the blood pressure lowered, I would go down. Well, I ended up having to talk to a specialist who said, you know, we're just going to have to emergency get these kids out of you because one of the babies stopped growing because of the issues. And anyway, all this stuff caused, you know, not only like a whole bunch of distress for my body, but then during the birth, which was not meant, I wasn't planning on this, right? So things happen that you don't plan on. During the birth, I ended up hemorrhaging. So in front of my family. So my daughter witnessed this, everything. And so I almost died. I lost half my body's like amount of blood or whatever is what they told me. I had to have like 3 blood transfusions. I was in the hospital for a week after. The kids had to be in the NICU. We had to go visit them for like almost 2 months after. They had to stay in there just to be watched because they were really small. And it was a complete disaster. And I had not health wise, right? I'm not saying I haven't been through some stuff. I've been through some stuff, but you know, health wise, I've never had those kind of issues before. So it kind of turned me, because I went from being this person who was willing to push myself to the limit and be cool with, I used to tell my friends, you know, oh, I'm the type of person who just goes, and then I crash. I have like a crash and burn weekend where you don't hear from me. I just have to like recover, and then I'm back to just going. And again, the effort, the addiction to work, the which is almost like a state of life, all this stuff for me, in a way, weirdly, it's like it got turned upside down because I could no longer use it because my body wouldn't let me. So it almost like forced me to say, hello, wake up. Do you want these problems? Do you want to have these blood pressure issues for the rest of your life? My body still had the blood pressure issues after I was going to the doctor. They kept, they couldn't figure out what's going on. So I really had to wake up and be like, okay, like I can't just like be this machine who just goes because I want to be this, I have high goals. There has to be another way. And what I learned is that, a lot of the things that I even missed out on because I was too busy working and being in it and being in the hustle, I guess, I probably missed out on a lot because of that. That would have made things a lot easier for me, but it's because my head told me, oh, this is, you have to work hard to succeed. And that's a little sliver of it, right? You have to work. And so, so for me, yeah, I mean, again, we all have the, whatever you call it, the dark, the dark time or whatever, or the bad time we're going through, whatever. That was a dark time for me. My numbers were hurting in my business because of it. I couldn't dedicate what I wanted to. And I was like, okay, I've really got to like switch things around. And that's why even I got into the jewelry. Like I said, it was kind of a stumbling thing because my hairstylist had told me one of her clients was doing it and making a lot of money. I'm very much so a person who likes to make a lot of money for a little bit of time. That's always how I've been. And it was perfect. So I got into it, and now I don't have to work all the time, and I make what I need to make. And it doesn't mean I'm not working. I mean, like I said, I've bigger ideas, I'm working on collaborations. I want online, all this online stuff going. I want lots of stuff, while not dropping the design business. I am helping people. Right. So, again, it's a pivot, right? So anytime there's that darkness in your life and you think there's no way out, you just kind of got to look a little. Maybe sometimes you do need to step back and just sit for a minute and be present with yourself so that you can breathe. Because again, you can look it up. It's a thing that happens to your brain when you're not focusing on yourself. You're stressed, and because as humans, we're not meant to be in survival mode all the time. Just like an animal is not meant to be in survival mode all the time. They're only in survival mode when the enemy is chasing them. The thing that wants to eat them is chasing them, and then they go back to normal. Well, we as humans who have bills to pay and don't have enough money to pay it, we end up in survival mode. And or we're trying to catch up and keep up with the neighbors or whatever, and what they're driving and stuff, where we want the new Louis Vuitton bag, but we don't have enough money on our credit card or whatever. And we create all these like crazy things in our lives and our brains that create this trauma and stress. And again, we don't even realize that we're totally overseeing that there's an easier way.
Well, you're right about that. That is definitely keeping up with the Joneses mindset if you're doing that. And not everybody can do that. And I really appreciate you describing, the health issue that you went through with your family. I'm sure that you had your family around you to help make it through that. And then, to get back also into your business. One of the things that you also mentioned earlier in the conversation, I was hoping you could explain a little bit more about it, was the cash flow quad. Can you explain to me a little bit of what that is in your mind and how does that function in your business?
Yeah. So the best thing I would say to do, I'll explain it a bit, but seriously, get Robert Kiyosaki's books. There's like a set of 4 of them that he sells all together. The first one is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So that teaches you, he had a rich dad and he had a poor dad. So he had a dad that it was his actual dad, and then the dad that his mom married, who was a business owner. And so he got to see both sides, the hardworking dad who worked a job and worked really hard, that mindset. And then he got to see the mindset of somebody who again, worked on, got paid off of other people's efforts and other things' efforts, right? In this case, some people don't need to get paid off of other people's efforts. It's actually passive income created online or something. So it's the same concept. So basically in the cash flow quadrant breaks down after you kind of learn the mindset, right? The mindset's the foundation. The next book is the cash flow quadrant, and it teaches you that, it's basically an X and And on one side is the E, so the employee, and then beneath it is the self-employed. And then the other side is the B, so the business owner and investor. And what we don't realize is that self-employed people, we think that they're business owners because they don't work for somebody, but they're still employees. The tax bracket, everything, all that is, it's still really bad. They have to make money off their own efforts. It's not, for instance, when I was making, like I said, I had quite a few, well, a lot, many large months where it was all based off my own efforts. Sure, it was great. It was great money, but at what cost? I was working from sun up to sundown. I remember taking my family out to vacation several times, and I would be stuck in the hotel working, and they were out at the pool or doing whatever, or blowing money here and there. My husband was always going on trips and enjoying himself, and it made me happy. But I was sitting not being able to enjoy it because I had to work, and the money is great, and I felt like I should be happy because money to me was the focus, because to me money was this fixer for everything. And I always thought if I make a lot of money, everything will be fine, but that's not the case. So so it teaches you really the mindset of those and why you really need to be on the business owner and investor side, and really honestly the investor side, not even the business owner, not so much. It's really about being an investor in businesses, because then that is true passive income that, there are people right now who are golfing, and there is money that is just being thrown into their accounts because they've invested X amount of money into whatever. My husband just was able, he actually just told me this morning, oh, look at this. I made a quick $900 from this, crypto like thing, because they gave us this thing and I decided to sell it. And look, here's $900. I'm going to throw it in there. And I was like, oh, that's nice. So I can kind of chill today a little bit. Like that's the kind of stuff that you want to focus on, is investing. Mm-hmm.
I think you're absolutely right. If you're making $900 off of something that fits in your hand, and and he can do that,
Yeah.
that's a really good way to make some money. That's a really good way to make some money. I wanted to also talk a little bit about the businesses that you have, and you talked a little bit earlier that you market them and you put them maybe in some of the stores that are out there that we may be familiar with. Can you talk a little bit about how did you do that, and some of the misconceptions about how you can get into some of these places like a Target or a Walmart? These applications, these things that they do, but I think that they also have some ability for you to get in on some other criterias that you may be able to explain to us. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, timing's everything. Okay, so right now is the time for minority businesses, more so Black owned businesses. I would say the Latin, whatever you call it, like Latinx or whatever. It's all right, but it's there's a focus now, which means that there's a thing in business that is very important, and it's timing. And timing, they say timing is everything. And so that means is that the effort, if you focus on good timing, the effort that it would take to say, get into a retail store like that is so much easier right now than it ever has been because of their focus. And so what I would say is now is the time to strike, essentially. No more waiting. So if for instance, you have a growth oil, or you have a shampoo, or you have, even hair ties, all natural is very big right now, right? These are the things that are more open. Now, the thing that people don't realize is that branding matters. So you need to show what makes you special in the way that they can understand is special. So you may think something about you is special, but how can you market that? You have to create a plan and show that, right? And as well as, and there's ways you can do that. You don't have to necessarily do it so much, with like selling yourself. You can do it through selling what it's in for customers. But then on top of that, there's a visual aspect to this. So, again, having the labels already good and nice, it makes it easier for them to move you along in the process. And this is what, a lot of clients have learned. And that's why they end up coming to me even after trying, one or two times or whatever. And so, the one thing I'll say too is get denied 10 times, get denied 20 times. Who cares? It might be the 21st time that you get accepted, right? Don't take it as a personal thing. Take it as a learning experience. All right, what did we do wrong here? What can we do better the next time around? And you just keep going and you keep moving and you keep getting yourself out there and you keep building your followers, because followers are big too. It's a big thing right now, right? And you just keep it moving. And I promise you, it's just something that, I've watched some of my clients. I have a client, her name's Stormy Steele. She actually had, my labels were on, oh my gosh, it might be like Love and Hip Hop or something, on her brand, because they brought her on. I forget the name of it, but anyway, I knew her when, she had just one product and she needed her whole line made. And I basically took her vision and created this whole line. And with her, I mean, she's probably one of the biggest, because she went the crazy route and like started, trying to apply for like reality shows and stuff to try and help all this, because again, she was obsessed with the story. She was obsessed with showing herself off as the best, while also taking care of her clients. So making sure that her product worked and getting those testimonials and creating that rapport with clients. So she has a fan base now because of it. And so she turned herself into the perfect fit for something like that. Now that sounds very intimidating for you. I've also had smaller clients who have also done this without the reality show whole thing of it, right? So that's not what it means. There just needs to be something else. There's something about you that people would be so excited to invest in, because again, sure, buying a product to you maybe not be an investment. It's an investment for whoever's buying it, right? If I spend $50 on a shampoo because it's maybe better quality or it's all natural, I'm spending that because I'm investing in that, because it's going to give me a result that I want. And so if you care about that, if you care about your clients, and it's not just about the quick hustle, right, which is what a lot of people get trapped in. And unfortunately, for some reason, a lot of minority businesses get trapped in the hustle. And again, not their fault, but we do need to take ownership so we can move on. It's childhood. We get taught to hustle because it's all we know, because we have parents who work hard, right? We don't see the people just hanging out at home and doing nothing and making money. Like, our parents were workers, and so we were taught to work hard. And we were taught also, though, that, if you want more, to get more, if you want to work, all they knew is work hard. And that's why we were taught that. But don't get trapped in that. You have to grow yourself. And that happens through experience and just being cool with failure. If that makes sense.
It does. It does.
That definitely makes sense to me. I really appreciate you going into those areas. And I'd like to pass it on to Razak right now. He has some questions for you as well.
Man, well, you answered a lot of questions right there. You just said it all in one big heat.
I try.
But I got some on the side here. I wrote. So okay, so some of the things I was wondering is okay. So you mentioned your husband a couple of times, and
yeah.
But who is this guy? Do you want to? He said he's an influencer. He's a podcast. What influence or has he had on you and your business?
Yeah. Well, for me, he's more of like a support system, and he's kind of like he helps me a lot with like keeping my brain kind of like stable. So Erika, let's focus on this. But for himself, he goes by Jesse Dramacom. He's a influencer who puts out like content and stuff. And he also helps with really helping other people get out there. So he's got his own like little membership where he teaches the members how to do what he's doing, which is create a presence online. And so, he doesn't, it's not as specific as, oh, well, he can create it for this shampoo person or this person who does what, like, it's very specific to a niche of people who want to be entertained, which is a lot of people on Instagram or TikTok or whatever. They're scrolling to escape. Right. And so that's what he's mastered, is to be the escape. And yeah. And then he's also teaching other people how to do that as well. So he's all over the place. He loves to do a lot of stuff. He's a crypto investor. He had a crypto podcast for a long time, but our pregnancy and stuff kind of turned everything upside down. So he's also kind of revamping and getting everything back up and stuff. And that's why he's actually planning all his guests and stuff. And one of his guests was the guy I talked to you or mentioned. And yeah, so he's, we're both just, he's not anything crazy either. He didn't come from a crazy rich family or anything who knew what they were doing. Everybody was blue collar, just small town, very small town, probably less opportunity even than being somebody from San Diego has. And he just wanted more, and so that's what he does every day. He works really hard at it, and some days are better than others for both of us, right? Some days is we didn't get anything done because the twins were crazy or whatever, right? And so again, when people give their stories, it's so like, oh my gosh, I think people get so caught up and it's almost like you turn your brain off to when somebody tells their sob story or the tribulations. It's like so normal. Oh, I got in a car accident, almost died, and blah blah blah. Like, but you don't think about like the person actually being in it and actually being in that car accident and the result of that and what that does. And then you focus in on your own problems and you're like, oh, I'm so different, I'm going through so much, this is why I'm feeling. It's like, no, really truly everybody is going through something or will be going through something, and it's truly internally for you what you're going to do with that, right? So just like my husband, we are constantly pivoting, we're constantly doing things and growing and letting go of what's not working and moving on to what's working, and letting it and being cool with, how our not being victims, not saying, well, because we have twins, we can't get this done, right? We're just kind of rolling with the punches and pivoting.
Right. I'm glad you just said that word growing, because I had a question that pertains to that, and it says when have you grown the most in life and what caused it?
That's hard. Probably I'd say being a mom, because it was no longer about me. So, adjusting to that, and again, not falling victim to my own things in my brain. Oh, because the kid, because I have children, I can't do this, because, like, because I want this for them, I have to do this or whatever. Like all these things, they're all things that we all think about, that we all get stressed out about at every level. And it turned you kind of upside down for a second. And so, for me, I think that's probably been the hardest, even though I've had plenty of issues and things. I mean, like I said, I've had a kind of a fun childhood. and I think that at a early age, I had to kind of grow up a little bit, I think, and figure out how to help take care of my own parents. And I think that even through that, I still think that being a mom is harder, because it's just this is a person that completely depends on you, and their results in their life, who they become, is a reflection of you, right? So for those, and some of us don't care about that, it is what it is, but for me, I really do. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Let me see. I got another question here from you. Now you said you mentioned some hard times, coming up and stuff like that. I think you said where are you from San Diego, like born and raised, or are you from somewhere else and you just came over here? Where are you from?
No. Well, my family's from Panama. So I don't know if you know who Ty Lopez is. So his family actually brought my grandmother over here to be a caretaker for the kids. And so that's what put us in La Jolla out here. Well, my mom and her. And then, so they stayed put. And Ty and his mom ended up going to, I think I forget the name of it, whatever, the little, whatever you do when it's like that type of, if you look him up, you'll know. It's the thing that he always talks about, where he went to this area where it's like they were off grid or whatever. I forget the name of them, but they did that. And so my mom and my grandma ended up staying with his grandma and took care of, the kids that were left there and stuff. And my mom had me at 20, and like she did, yeah, she had me at 20, and then and so for her, it was for her actually is a completely different story. She was navigating life as not even being a green card Panamanian here, and then my dad was also very typical hard worker. He worked for actually one of the main developers of San Diego. They built like half of San Diego. Their names are the Gleisches. They owned the Guild Mortgage Company. And he was there, what they called like a factotum. So he was actually their personal private chef. He handled like everything for them, all their workers and stuff. And he did a lot of stuff. And anyway, because of their own issues and stuff, they always they're always kind of stuck in their own drama, I think. And my mom also had hard times with herself, I think, and struggling with all this stuff. She, was always she struggled with drugs, was in and out of jail. So I didn't have her a lot of my life. She was a letter to me. It was, I got or a phone call when she would call in, or she was out kind of, doing her own thing. And then my dad was the single dad. He was always stressed out and a hard worker, but, very serious, took it out on the kids, would do his best for sure, but struggled. And I think, we all kind of adjusted in a way. And then because of their own issues, my dad ended up losing his job when I was on my birthday, when I was 12. And we lost everything from it. So we lost our house, we lost his car, all the cars, all the house, the house, everything. It was all owned by these people who had given him all this stuff. So imagine going from being like upper middle class to completely zero. They ended up, and then my dad went into a deep depression, didn't do anything about it, decided just to give up. We ended up in hotels. Right. I had to take out a student loan to get them into a house. And I became this person who was addicted to work, because work meant money, and it meant that my family could breathe. And and again, like it's, so and there's so much it's like an onion, like there's so many things to unpack, but essentially it's living in that survival mode, becoming addicted to that survival mode, because that's the way that you grew up. And it's just something that stays with you until you unlearn it. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's definitely an origin story right there for you, right?
Sure. Okay, cool. Yeah. So, so more important than the actual application process, which is pretty straightforward, is number one, if we're talking about being somebody who you're doing the social media thing, you're selling a few sales online, or maybe you're doing all right online. Maybe you're making $10,000 a month online, or 20, right? That's good. 30,000, 40,000, whatever. Maybe you're just making 5 or 2 or 3. That's fine too. Everybody starts somewhere, right? So the biggest thing is you really have to, in the beginning stages, and this is something I love doing with my clients when I first bring them on, is let's talk foundation. Let's talk about the actual foundations of your businesses. And are their foundations really like laid out for you, which most people don't. And again, you don't need to beat yourself up. It's totally fine. What happens is most of us, we focus on sales and we focus on the hustle. So we're looking at how does my table look at events, or we're sourcing. We're saying, I want to make these, this stuff look this way, or I want to make my label look good or something. And we focus on all these things that are really the surface level. And we'll get into the reason why labels aren't surface level in a minute. But however, a lot of times I have clients who come to me and they say, Erika, you're the girl I heard that's going to help me get into retail. Here's my brand. Go ahead, make me a label. And they expect the work to just happen, right? And what happens is that's not the case at all. So I'll give you, for the sake of examples. So for Stormy, Stormy had this vision already before, you know, she even came to me. I didn't create the vision for her. She had the vision. So she knew what she was. She knew who her clientele was, and she knew exactly what would attract them. And so all of that foundational work, the market research matters. I don't care if you're just a hairstylist who is servicing clients in your area, you know, and you just don't know. You have to know these people. You have to know their habits. All this is going to matter, because at the end of the day, guys, you don't really need Target, CVS, and all that nowadays. You don't. You can do this all on Instagram. You can do this on TikTok. There are people who are making more money on TikTok selling their products than the stuff that's on the shelves at CVS. And the reason is because they know their clientele type and they know how to attract them. Right. So if you start to do Facebook ads, for instance, your Facebook ads are going to want to know exactly who you're trying to attract, which means that you have to do that foundational work. That foundational work is what is going to dictate your brand colors, the name of your company, the price points, right? The the essence of it, the mood, the everything. And so I can't tell you how many clients come to me, let's say in the beauty business, if we're talking about like getting into these big retailers for, you know, what they're offering, and they just don't have any of that stuff figured out. They tell me that their target market is ages 16 to 50, and while you want that to be your target market, you cannot talk to 16-year-olds to 50-year-olds. You can't talk to my daughter who's 10 and all the way to my grandmother who's 90. It's just different, right? So we're talking about generation differences. We're talking about the way that your market, the voice of your marketing. You know, we're talking about the name of your marketing. I mean, I specifically built my jewelry brand specifically with a specific person in mind, and that person was not a Gen Z. In fact, if it was a Gen Z or younger, I would have a completely different brand. I wouldn't be offering the products I do. I wouldn't have the mission statement I do. I wouldn't have the brand I do. And could you imagine investing in a trademark, spending thousands of dollars on a trademark only to have to change it because you didn't do this work? And yes, you do need trademarks. You do need these things put into place before you're into retail, because this is just all kind of, you know, this is the business stuff, right? So this is the stuff that when you go to a lawyer and you say, what do I need? They're going to say X, 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 but you're probably not even going to be ready for it because you don't even know what exactly it is. And this stuff, you know, again, don't beat yourself up, because I would tell you that probably 99% of my clients who come to me who want, let's say, consulting or coaching on this stuff, they all don't have this stuff figured out. And it's because when you're a self-employed person, when you're in the beauty world and you're a hairdresser or you're a self-employed sticker maker, or you're somebody who makes soap, or you're whatever it is, right? You're really only focused on that self-employed mindset. So you're focused on the immediate things that are right in front of you. You're essentially in survival mode for your business. You're in hustle mode. You are not thinking about the things that are not going to turn into dollars, because dollars are what mattered to you, because you've been an employee so long and you don't know what it's like to work for your business and not make any money doing what you're doing. So that's a big change that you have to make for yourself. So by sitting there and saying, you know, spending 2 weeks on your target market and studying them, that, while you think is a waste of time because you're in hustle mode, it's not a waste of time. And it's actually what solves those big problems, which allows you to have the big results, the big money. And so it's really dropping that hustle mindset, which is what we've kind of been talking about this whole time, and treating your business like a business. And in a way, it's kind of treating it like a hobby, because it's what you're doing when you're not making money. So maybe the events that you do, or whatever you do to sell to make money, maybe that's your job. When you're at the events selling your soap or your stickers or your cups or whatever, that's your job. You're there, you're present, you have to work, you have to make money. But when you're home and you're no longer doing that, you have to focus on the hobby side of this, which is, it should not equate into dollars for you. You should be just seeing it as something that you're investing your time, you're enjoying this, you want to make this happen. And though that time, that stuff is more important than anything. Truthfully, honestly, I would rather you, before you do anything, go get a shadow work or go get some therapy and and focus on yourself and find out the things that bother you, and try and heal those things before you even go too crazy into things, because it's just going to slow you down. You're going to have more problems, more things that you have to overcome. And then again, you're really up against yourself, because how long can you last in failure? So are you cool with failure? Now, if you're cool with failure, for sure, like, you don't have to do the therapy stuff. You don't have to do the groundwork. Okay. Just keep going and just like a kid, keep going, going, going until something works. But if that's kind of stuff hurts you, if you don't like the no, for instance, focus on yourself. Once you focus on yourself, you can now sit and, start to really do that groundwork and figure out who you actually want to help with your stuff. How does your stuff change their life? And hey, listen, that, a necklace can change somebody's life. I've had people tear up because I was able to take a locket that they had from their great grandmother who passed, and they thought it was just broken forever, and replace it with a chain of mine. And while I didn't think when I was building my business that was something that I was going to be doing, I fell into it because of the target market I chose, and because of that, I've done something. I've made a difference for somebody. Maybe you're in the luxury business and you're trying to make really pretty handbags that are really expensive. Well, you make somebody feel good when they know that they can drop that much money and they know that they can afford that. It's something. It's a meaning for them. You're creating meaning for them in their life. They're saying, oh, "This feels really good to be able to do this for myself. It feels really good to spend this much money on myself because I'm worth it." So you have to actually find out, not just like, you don't want to just focus on, you do this because you like it and because you want to make money. You need to figure out, what's the meaning behind this? Why am I doing this? What's the meaning behind the meaning? And that typically is your target market, your mission statement, your vision statement, all the foundational stuff that you need when you're setting up your business. That's all that, everything that goes into your business plan, which most people don't have a business plan. They just kind of go out and they start working, hoping to make money. And so, definitely like treat this seriously and have fun with it. Enjoy it. Say, fall in love with the people that you attract and the people that you're trying to attract, because, you just won't last. You'll end up saying this sucks and moving on to something else if you don't absolutely love it,
Right. Right. Man. Yeah, this sucks. It's taking too long.
You're absolutely right about
quit.
that.
Mm-hmm.
I heard that. Man. Yeah, that was a lot. That was a lot of good information. Yeah. That was impactful. I like this educational. I think we're gonna get a lot of insight out of that. We're gonna go a lot of and think of longevity, right? Because you mentioned hustle. I mean, people could hustle for a long time, but it's more about thinking of the long term versus some quick bucks right now, like making a couple of months. Okay.
Yeah. The right now matters. I mean, I'm sure as we're saying this, whoever will be listening to this will be saying, well, yeah, but you're not talking to my cell phone bill that's calling me every day saying I'm late and stuff. And I get that, but that's why I say, like, the survival mode is a killer. Like, you have got to, do whatever it takes to not be in that. And I know that sounds easier than it is. Trust me, I know, but you just have to do what you have to do, so that maybe it's you don't do the Starbucks every day or whatever it is, so that you can keep your bills under a certain amount. You say to yourself, I call it like maybe it's a 90-day run. Maybe it's, you can change anything in 90 days, right? So maybe this is your 90-day run where you don't overspend. You're going to stay within your limits. You're going to save X amount just so that you have a little bit of a comfort cushion underneath you, so that you're no longer in survival mode. It's not to take away from you or take away your the fun parts of your life. It's to, sometimes you have to sacrifice to create a foundation and a level of comfort, so that you can even tap into those parts of your brain that can solve the problems that you're going to need to solve to be a big deal. The idea that you will be good when you make money that's backwards thinking. And I thought that way for years. And I made the money and I had the money, and it's not the solution. You have to, number one, you have to focus on you and make sure that you are good. You cannot do this hustling.
Right. Well, let me ask you this. That was nice. Thank you for that. That was a very informing right there. I could probably dig off, probably 10 more questions just off of that, but we're gonna try to push it along. A whole bunch of different things. So okay, well, all right. When it comes to all that and getting into your business, for you, how do you how does your cultural preference influence your creativity or decision making in your professional life? Or do you have a cultural preference?
Okay, so when you say cultural preference, do you mean like my cultural background? Do you mean what I prefer? I guess what do you mean by that?
Okay, so when you're creating your jewelry and stuff, is it culture based? You say you're from
Oh, got it. Okay.
Panamanian.
Panamanian, yeah. No, no. I mean, I would like that, but Panamanian art is kind of crazy. I don't know if it would translate well over here. It's kind of like Indian looking, I'll have to probably send you a picture or something to show what it is. I mean, I love it because it's my culture, but I don't see Stacy going into West Elm and picking up a Panamanian pillow. You know what I mean? Um, so yeah, no, what I kind of focus a little bit on is kind of the fun stuff. So I was talking about the spiritual side of things. So I've got tarot card necklaces. I love crosses. I love the Om symbol. I'm almost like a spirituality thing. I'm really interested. I love the Hamza, which is the evil eye. So anything evil eye is actually several religions altogether.
Right.
I don't have to get into beliefs and all that stuff. I was raised Christian, but I have a belief that a lot of us have a lot of similar, we have a lot of similar stories and a lot of similar backgrounds, and we all say a lot of the same stuff, and we all agree on certain things, and that's the kind of stuff I like to focus on. And for me, I'm an intentional person, so I try and do things on intention. I don't like the idea of me saying things and putting it out there into the world or whatever, and just having no control over that and just expecting what's going to happen. For me, that's tough. I like to try and guide myself in a way. So I call a lot of my necklaces talismans, because it's like a guide for me. It's an intention. It's a reminder. I don't care if you believe in the laws of attraction or anything like that. That's not even what I'm talking about. What I mean is if I remind myself every day, if I tell myself every day, you can create anything you want in your life. You can create for yourself, and create the life you want for yourself. And I have this little necklace that reminds me of that. To me, that's good, because that's a habit. That's a habit forming thing, a reminder, even a text message showing me that or something, that is creating a habit that is replacing the stuff that I learned as a kid that wasn't real, that was unfortunately my parents' limitations, right? Or the way they felt, and that I wasn't meant to feel that way, right? So you can go whatever you want with it. You can go all crazy and say things, manifest out of nothing. You can go super, laxed on it, and you can go the Christian route and say that you're made in the image of God, and you can create just like him, and you can, he made you to be happy. You weren't meant to just be a miserable human your entire life. Or you could say, I just enjoy things that sound nice, and that, and keep me in that state so that I can achieve the most and not even believe in anything and still get something from it. So I'm not I'm not a judgment. I don't do judgment or anything like that when it comes to that. I just try and, for me, I like to keep things around me that help me do more and be the best I can be. And so that's kind of the route I go with my jewelry.
Yeah, Jerry. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just make it, huh? All right.
Yeah.
Just make it. I feel like, look how it looks right here, and I'm just gonna make it like this. Okay. All right. Well, yeah, because I like that question actually, because sometimes people make, because we had a guy who did beads, the little bead things, and I can't remember what they call it, but that it was because he was from what is it, Tongo or Togo?
Oh,
You know what I
cool.
mean? And
There was
his
a
whole
cultural aspect
yeah,
there.
like so he, you
Yeah.
know what I mean. So he was, you know, a lot of people, you know, we have had, you know what I mean. Some of these things are because
Yeah.
they're a certain culture is why they make different things. But
Yeah. No, mine
man,
aren't that cool.
yeah,
Vietnamese, we're just not it.
yeah, okay,
for mainstream, for Western, you know.
yeah. All right, okay, that's cool. I got about 2 questions, and I'm
Right,
gonna
right.
pass it on back
Well,
to
that's good.
Keith. And okay, so this next one goes well, actually, you kind of really kind of answered this. Let me see. Is there a particular life lesson you learned that you would like to pass on to others?
I feel like I've been giving you all my life lessons.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was saying. You
Yeah,
kind of,
yeah.
you
No,
kind of,
I just would say, you know, it's not that serious, right? So like, it's not, no matter what's happening in your life, it's not the end of the world, and it'll pass. And just reset, focus. You know, yeah.
reset and focus. Reset. Whatever happens, just take that stumble and
Refocus.
get on back up.
You'll
Mm-hmm.
make through it. You'll get through it, no matter what, no matter how deep it
We'll
is, how
get
hard
through
it
it.
is. Yep, true. You know.
Okay, and this last one, I'm gonna pass it on to Keith. After this is okay, so this a legacy question. So can you share with us what your ideal of legacy means for you and your family?
Yeah. So, well, one, we're big on generational wealth. So it's not just even about my kids. I want my kids to not have the same problems that, you know, we had being kids. And, you know, like there's so many families out there who support their families where there's a trust and they are going to be left money, and no matter what, they're going to be okay. They have that comfort, which allows them to work at their, it doesn't mean that they don't have to work, right? It's that they can live at their highest self. They can be, you know, they can use the full capacity of their brain versus a small sliver of it, because they're focused on trauma brain, because they're so focused on survival. You know, life isn't about survival. That's animalistic. Animals survive, right? So we are human beings who are smart and can achieve so much. And when we're stuck in the day-to-day crap, when we are just thinking about, oh my gosh, are my bills paid? Did the kids get dinner? You know, am I gonna get in bed by 9 so I can be up by 6 to be at work? Like all that stuff, that's not really what life is. And so for me, it's very important to be able to provide that, you know, that type of a legacy for my kids. But then also too, it's not just about my personal family. I think that's, for me personally, that is not like important to me. It's very important to also leave something behind for the world. So again, you know, it doesn't always have to be, I don't think I have a specific thing I want to leave for the world. I think I just want to try and do as much as I can. I want to try and leave as much money as I can. You know, give as many people as I can a great experience. You know, in their lives, even if it's a quick, you know, I'm able to afford to be able to buy them lunch because they're sitting out there and they're looking hungry and they've got a sign out and they're just begging for money and I have the money. You know, you can't do those kind of things when you're stuck in lack and survival mode. And that's the kind of stuff I want to do. I also want to be able to give a lot and invest in a lot, make other businesses, you know, successful through my investments and stuff. So there's a lot on, you know, the horizon for me. And, you know, it's yeah. And again, just because I say that doesn't mean that everybody else has to be like that. You do not have to save the world. It is not, you know, something that you have to, you know, focus on right now. If that sounds crazy to you, it may not in a year when you figure things out and you have the capacity to be able to handle that in your brain, you know. But for right now, again, everything starts with you and healing you. And you cannot, it's the gas mask, or sorry, yeah, is it gas mask on the airplane? It's the gas mask thing. You don't put the mask on your children first. You put it on you first, because you cannot put the mask on the children if you're not breathing. So you got to do you first.
I hear that. I hear you. I hear
Yeah.
that. Take care of you first. Mm-hmm.
I'm sure happy you've been talking a lot about, you know, self-care. You know,
Yeah.
most of the things you talked about have to do with, you know, self-care, making sure you're mentally together, making sure you understand what you want to do and that it's something that you're going to be happy about. It's going to help you to be better at what you do. All of those things are consistent with self-care, and that's an important part of being an entrepreneur, right? Because the entrepreneur spirit is basically driven by that, right? So all of those things are what drives that entrepreneur to be out there, to be in those vending events and not getting paid, or being at in the house making something that when sometimes you need to be with the family or the kids, you're just having that, oh, I need to do this because of all this. So it's just one of those things. I think that's important for people to understand when they're talking about going into this risk, this business of risk, such as entrepreneurship. Can you? I wanted to ask a question. I think I wanted to go back. These necklaces and things that you're making, are you engraving them and making them that way, or do you have something that you're pre-buying and then you're doing something in addition to it? How are you actually performing and making the necklace, or
We
what are
do
some of
it
the
all right.
procedures that
Yeah,
you're
we do it
doing?
all right now. We have a plan. There is and this is why business plans matter, because you can't just jump into things sometimes. And this is what hurts. So like if you're sitting there, you can't afford an engraver for $5,000, then you're doing what I'm doing. Like it's a really hard feeling to beat yourself up and say, I can't afford an engraver. I suck. I shouldn't do this. How do people do that? Everything starts with a plan. And I don't even believe in investing in that kind of stuff right away. I believe in investing as comfortably as you can, and then increasing by reinvesting and growing into it, right? So I don't even believe in, when I first started even my graphic design, I did not invest in all the best laptops and stuff. I worked with what I had, and I increased it as I got on. Now I have like 20 laptops. I mean, we have so much stuff, like, and I have to actually spend that in order to have a great, return at the end of the year. And so I'm saying this because, for me, even somebody who can invest in this stuff, I choose not to, because I am focused on phases in my business. And so we plan to do even custom engraving where I'm doing the name in the shop and handing it to you as you leave, or you're ordering it and I'm delivering it or sending it to you. But for now, right now, what we have is we have basically, we are sourcing a lot of our stuff. We are now in talks working on custom charms right now with some manufacturers who can develop it for me. Could I sit here and solder in my house? For sure, but I'm also busy. And so there's a lot of things to do in the beginning that you can do to kind of give that job to somebody else if you're willing to just kind of part ways with some money that you make, some of the money that you make. A lot of people, we live off of our stuff, and that's very hard in the beginning. So don't beat yourself up if you can't, but you want to at least start putting 10% away from what you make from every vendor event or every whatever, that you're getting. Or even your own paycheck, take 10% and put it away for your investing in your business. And so, so our plan is to have an engraver machine, to be engraving our own stuff. Right now, what we do is we take like custom, we source all of our stuff and we put it all together, or we even, source products that are already made because it aligns with our brand. And I would say that you're probably seeing like the beginning stages of my business. And it's just, I promise you give it a year, you're looking it up, you're gonna be like, whoa, because we're gonna have so much going on. And it's just very exciting.
Well, I think you said something there that's it's important, right? It's what this podcast is pretty much about, right? We're trying to uplift small businesses and bring them out at these stages, or not bringing them out, they already are out. We'll just be a part of that, stepping stone that you guys are doing. We're following you. We're trying to see what you got coming up that's new. All of these things are so important to the podcast because it helps us to understand, when we have a list of all of these different interviews that we've done, people are learning from each other there. And one of the things you were
Yes.
saying about legacy, and I'm going to just say this part, there's a person that when you go to look at the podcast, it's going to have the same name as yours, but spelled differently, and strictly um, interested in building legacies and building the self, the family worth together. So that you said,
So
why
important.
did you have to struggle? Why your kids have to struggle? That's not how the Rockefellers did it, right? They didn't do it. They didn't do it that way. They passed things down, and that's how
Yes.
family wealth was created. So when you get a chance to watch that, I would really like you to let us know what you think about it. One of my
Yeah.
last questions or questions I have is, The podcast is doing this uplifting and for the small business community. What do you think about the podcast? What do you think we should be doing, or what are some of the things that we we can do better to help bring all of us together in this community of entrepreneurship?
Um, so if I were to say like an immediate thing that comes to my mind, I would say, again, kind of focusing on the stress of lack. So thinking that by giving away secrets, you're just going to oversaturate the market or give your competitor something that you have and they don't. And I'm not saying give the secret sauce, okay? That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that if you can come from a place of being willing to help, for instance, this podcast is an example of service. I mean, you're sitting here and you're spending your time to ask me questions, and while it's good for you in certain ways, it's also service. You're servicing the people that are listening to this. You're servicing me as a guest and your future guest. And so it's seeing that things in a way of how can I help other people out. I just had I work with a hotel on a monthly basis, and she was asking me about vendors. It's a very good vendor event they do, and she was like, "Do you have recommendations?" I save all the business cards that I get. Anybody who's in local now, I actually sent out a few messages before we met today of some vendors who I don't get any money for this by recommending these vendors, but letting them know that this event is going on for Mother's Day and they can do well. And this is the kind of thing, I could have easily said, no, I'd like to be the only one there. That way everybody's focused on me. And people do think this way. But instead, I think, I don't think that way. I prefer to just help, because honestly, the idea of even oversaturation it's not a real thing. It's you saying there's not enough in the world. I need as much as I can for me. And that's a state of lack. That means that you are not in abundance. That means that you are not successful, doing well. And how do you expect yourself to get there if you can't even step into that mindset, right? So I would say, and don't get obsessive with helping other people. Like, that's not what I mean, where you like hurt yourself, because there are people like that too. I'm even sometimes to a fault kind of I put other people's first, but just don't be afraid to lend a helping hand. I can't even tell you, I'll tell you, I started working at I just started working at a salon that I'm working at 2 days a week. And I gave great deals to the girls that were there for my jewelry. I even lost some money on some of my chains that I gave them deals. These hairstylists, they all were sending their clients. I mean, I made all that money back and more, because they were all so just excited. I'd even made one of the ladies, she told me she was a grandma, and she was telling me what her granddaughter likes. And she didn't think of it. She didn't expect anything. I made her granddaughter this really cute charm necklace with all the amazing Sanrio characters and stuff, and she couldn't believe that I'd done that. She was just so elated. And again, she was excited to bring her clients over to me to explain what I did and who I was. And again, I don't do these things in hopes that people are going to help me out or whatever. I'm just saying that this is an example of, I promise you, what goes around comes around. Just focus on being a good person, focus on being of service to the world, and leaving it better than than when you were here, and you're going to be fine. You're going to be more than fine, because that's how the world works. The abundance that comes here first, then it's created in the world. So
I think you're absolutely right about that, because that is the goal of this KF&JF podcast, is to try to make sure that we're helping, because you're right that it's not a money's game, and everything, if you keep providing yourself with the service, you keep doing things, all things fold back in at some point. It all comes full circle. So being focused on that part and helping and bringing people on, I think will get us to where the point that maybe we want to be in the future. But it's not something that we're going to kill ourselves over, because meeting you, hearing your story, listening to all the good information that you're providing helps us both in what we're trying to do, how we're trying to build our podcast, how are we trying to build, ourselves as human beings, and some of the things that we can do to take care of ourselves as we do this too. So I'd like to ask you this, and maybe you can tell me, what are some of the things that are exciting you now? What's on your mind that's keeping you up? That's kind of like, man, I'm so excited. I know you said something about you're not able to tell us everything or tell us what you're working on, but maybe you can give us some of the peripherals about what's
Yeah,
exciting
sure.
you in your business.
Yeah, no, I think collaboration right now is my focus and is what is exciting me the most. There's nothing more exciting than, like I said, putting yourself out there, giving first without the expectation of receiving, and basically getting opportunities because of it that you wouldn't have even thought of yourself, for instance. The things that I'm excited most about, I think, are just being in locations that I guess you would consider retail, but as a collaboration for them, with their brand and their stuff. And again, this is what I mean. I am loose. I'm focused on uplifting. Even the salon I work with, I'm not bringing my brand into it. I don't even want them saying BLINKS. I want them saying the Loma Salon permanent jewelry or the Loma Salon custom jewelry, because she has a clientele base and she knows who they are, and I'm tapping into that. So why would I take my pride and input my beliefs and my things into that salon when I can just insert myself and be a part and accept everything that's already there? See, there's an easy route if you can drop the stuff in your head that is telling you that you need things, the rigid ideas of you need things to be this way, and it needs to be your brand, it needs to be about you. The less it's about you, the more you can take in. I'm making custom charms and custom necklaces for companies that want this look that has nothing to do with the look that I do. And I'm able to do that because, again, I have the branding background, so I'm creative in that way, which doesn't mean anything. I didn't go to school for it. I'm totally self-taught, by the way. You can do anything you want to do in life. But I'm able to do that and not tell them, oh, sorry. We only do evil eye bracelets and necklaces. Like, you're just going to need to believe what we believe. Like, no, why would I do that? This is money. This is collaborations, and who knows what that's going to lead me to. So it's really about pulling and giving, being open, being the best you can be. When I show up to that salon, I'm like, I want to be the best I can be here. How can I be of service to these people today? And that's how I do it. And then I'm able to make more than the average person because I've got that mindset in mind, which is why I'm allowed. Then it allows me to handle the crazy people, like I started talking about, right? The people that are a little bit more difficult to deal with, because it's not about me. I'm not focused on me. So
it's not about you.
Word, not about you. Go ahead, Razaka. I'll kick it over to you for your closing questions.
I was gonna say it is about you. Today it is. Man, I'm just sitting here listening. I gotta. I mean, because I say, in my business too. It's a service, and it's generally, helping people to get their business off the ground. And I see, and you've articulated, the what we're I kind of do at the same time, but I mean, you just said it so much better. You know what I mean? And I was just like, I was thinking like, okay, so you told us about who you read, who you get your influences from, everything, and it's just, it's just a lot to process right now. And I like you mentioned earlier when you said the first thing they need to do is get therapy, and and take care. And you mentioned a lot about taking care of themselves first. And you mentioned about the mind state and everything. So my general question right now would just be like, a person such as yourself who I guess you mentor other people. You came a long way. You went through the struggle. Who do you follow? Who do you look to as far as a hand up? Like, what I mean, who are you trying to reach in your
yeah,
day-to-day progress?
I have a lot of people I actually follow that I love. I've always loved since I was young, Tim Ferriss from 4 Hour Work Week. He's amazing, I think, because he is the no niche guy. I mean, and he's the OG. He's been around since forever, and he just, you go to his blog or you see the books that he's written. This guy has no limits. He says, what do I want to do now? And then he wins at that. And so a lot of people get caught up in the rigidness of life and needing to stay in boxes, and you don't have to. You can actually do whatever you want, what makes you happy in the moment. And so I love him. I love Robert Kiyosaki. He taught me the foundational stuff. For me, he's got a lot of really good books. A book, if you really struggle with a money mindset, Why We Want You to Be Rich would be really good. He wrote that with Donald Trump. But it's a very good book, and it's one of the first books I read when I was like 18, and it really like changed the way that I thought of things. It taught me to be a problem solver, to be addicted to problems, and because of that, I changed my view of what problems were, and I'm fine with, I can handle it, and so I love that kind of stuff. Lately I've been doing a lot. I've been kind of diving into more of the deeper mindset stuff. So like laws of attraction, things like that. I'm just very interested in hearing different viewpoints on how your brain, what you're thinking, what you're telling yourself every day, what to say when you talk to yourself. Very good book. Please read that book. Anything Brendan Burchard. He teaches high achievers how to achieve. Brendan Burchard is amazing. Again, like I said, I have an addiction to work. I think that I struggle with. I'm working on that. On it as a daily fight for me. He really really helps me because it helps me to recognize the way that I think and really how to honestly step into my power, the things that I'm good at because of these things. He's very, very good. He'll teach you how to win. He will teach you how to raise your standards. And then again, Anthony Robbins, if you want to be happy, you either have to lower your standards or you have to do action that, it matches your standards. And all of these things, these people, these are people who are focused on the mind. And so, I've been an avid reader since I was very young. But not like, the Harry Potter stuff or anything. I just like to learn and get better and make myself better because I didn't learn that in school or from my parents. And so I had to go find it. And so there's so many I could list, but those are probably the top that I would say if you're getting into things, the 4 Hour Work Week, Think and Grow Rich, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Why We Want You to Be Rich. These are the books that you need to it's going to wake you up. And you're like, oh my gosh, I do that. It's kind of like Reels, how all these people are doing these things, and Reels and TikToks, they're doing these things and you're like, I do that. Or, oh my God, everybody's obsessed right now with that kind of stuff. Do this, read a book though. And then the book's going to tell you, oh my gosh, you do this and this and this. And that's what changes your brain where you can recognize that you're doing it the next time you're doing it. And then you slowly make that change. Because when you recognize something, it's kind of like, I think they said this in AA. I think I've never taken it. I've never gone to AA, but I know that they say the first thing is you have to admit that you are an alcoholic. It's the same thing with every problem that you are addicted to your problems. And you have to recognize that you're addicted to your problems, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
I like that, man. You got a lot of good insight right there. I like listening to you, man. We need to include you in the little workshop that we about to do in a couple of days. Include because I'm looking for it. You know what? This is totally off aside from everything. You said you sing earlier. Do you still sing, or do you still do that?
So I was like a singer, model, actress, and then I got pregnant with my first daughter, and I was just like, I'm just gonna get serious about making money and stuff, because that's you're a lot of no's, a lot of wasting money on going to auditions, and they choose whatever, and you're done, and you just drove 4 hours or whatever. And so
a lot of barbizons,
What?
A lot of barbizon.
Barbizon. That's fun. You know what? When I was probably 13, my mom took me to a barbizon to go try out or whatever, and they
spent a lot of money in there.
like, yeah, they accepted me, but it was like money. My mom was like, that's no. And so I ended up getting into modeling myself, actually just working at Starbucks. And I met a photographer who she was shooting all the big brands in PB, and I just kind of fell into it and, kind of grew from there. And then I decided, I think I'll actually work at this. And then I started doing stuff. I ended up, doing some TV shows, all sorts of stuff. Super fun. Met a lot of cool people, met a lot of celebrities, a lot of fun, attending cool events and stuff. But, again, children are a wake up call, and it shakes you up. And you're like, you think things are a certain way, and then you're like, nope, you got to, adjust again, because you can't just like sacrifice everything when you've got a kid at home. And so I adjusted. And I think everything's gonna make a big circle back, because I think that now, even with the brand, not even branding, but the jewelry and stuff, it's really forcing me to get back into that creative brain, and that creative side. And it's really making me say, like, oh my gosh, I want to try resin, and I want to try, I used to paint. I'm going to get it back into painting, and yeah, maybe I'll, jump into singing and stuff again. And who knows, again, it's like just be open, and things just happen. And that's how it used to be for me when I was modeling and stuff. I was just open, and I was cool with being, I was always the photographer's friends. We would always end up being friends. And that's why, a lot of things happened for me, because I was just a good person and a nice person and giving and stuff. And so I think that, as much as, I'm 5'2", I wasn't going to be Giselle, but it didn't matter. I was still, there was a lot of opportunities for me because of who I was. And I think that if you stop saying to yourself, nothing's, possible. I was specifically told, you're not the type that's going to do clothing modeling ever. And years later, I was doing tons of, that was all I was doing, was apparel. So people have their limitations and their weird crap that they like try and push on you, no matter what you think. And you just have to navigate through that and know yourself, and that's how you get the opportunities, is you because you don't want to, like, you just don't want to turn down, which is what's happening, I'd say, for probably a lot of the viewers now, is they don't even know they're turning down the opportunities and the yeses and all the good things in their life, but they are.
Right. Let me just say this real quick before I ask my last little question before we close out. I write music, and I'm looking for a voice, and
oh,
you might
cool.
be I'm looking for a voice. I'm looking for somebody,
Okay,
we got this little theme stuff going on. Just let us know when you're ready to get back in the studio, and you can try out a couple more songs.
No, for sure. Absolutely.
I can see
my daughter sings too. She's very good, actually. It kind of pisses me off how naturally good she is, but
Wow.
I'm like, I had to work for it.
Oh, man, I heard that.
But yeah, absolutely. It's funny.
Yeah, I can send you some over. I'll be looking for it. I'll be looking for it. I got a cousin. He does music and stuff too. And I'm trying to get my not necessarily be a manager, but probably just I just write a lot. I just don't have the voice. I used to sing back in choir a long time ago, but I don't have the voice nowadays. I'm kind of raspy, I guess it's called. But
it happened.
Yeah. So my thing before I'm gonna pass it on for this closing thing is I wanna ask you a question about so we're both in the pretty much the same kind of service somewhat as far as helping out other people's businesses. So could you tell me what is your strategy if it's not giving up no type of game or something? Well, give us the game, but no secret or nothing. How do you get your subscriptions and their views up for the thing, or is it strictly customer based?
When okay, so wait, let me make sure I'm understanding what you're saying. When you say subscriptions and views, do you mean what's the important thing here? Is it sales, views? So like views, like eyes on you? Are you talking about how do I personally get my clients?
Well, no. Well, once you so they come to me and they and we try to, like, even for the podcast, we try to implement certain things to get views and to get
Oh, yes, yes, yes,
subscriptions.
yes.
And
Sure.
plus, there's a clothing line for the joybeloved.com is the clothing line. So, you know,
Okay.
we have all these different things in place. So for you, how do you work that for your clients?
My clients, like,
Yes.
what's my strategy to get them sales and views and all that, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, no, yeah. So I gave the secret sauce out for free. Actually, I talk about it all the time. I haven't done it in a while, like where I'm avidly, I'm so focused on
The
this,
secret
but I
sauce,
do give it away. It's not like it's not behind a paywall
huh?
because I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why. Because most people aren't going to do it. They're not going to do it. They're not willing to do it. So you can give them all the secrets. It's fine. Most of them aren't going to do it. And it's I don't know, again, it's all the stuff that I like touched on. It's foundational stuff. I'm, as much, I give them as much empathy as I possibly can because I feel for you when you are in a freeze state and you're stuck watching TV and you can't figure out why your body's not willing to move and do the work. So you have to solve that stuff first. Once you do, yes. So again, foundation is always first. So when somebody comes on with me, so the really cool thing about my programs and stuff, and we actually we just partnered with Gloss Genius, and we're talking about like coaching stuff and all that. So funny. But so I'm right now I'm doing work for them right now on like just like helping them with their platform, and they're getting it out there to my community and stuff. But we're also talking about now collaborating on the coaching aspect. And it's so when it comes to like what I believe in, so it's a couple of things. So I know it's going to go against what I said actually, but so many people don't have the problem I have where they're addicted to work. They don't know how to work. Okay. So I was lucky enough early on, or I mean, I guess it's not lucky because I went out and I looked and I was taught and I found the people that could teach me exactly how to work to get the results that I wanted in my life. Most people don't know how to work. So they just think that posting and hoping and praying for a sale is going to work, or posting 3 times a week or 3 times a day is going to do it, or going out and doing vendor events each week is going to make them rich. And there's no plan there. There's nothing there. It's all math. Okay. So I actually have and I'll give you one of my spreadsheets if you want. I bet you it could probably help your clients. I created it myself. It's my process. So basically, we do the foundational stuff first. We fix the crap that is no good. So if they don't know why they're doing what they're doing, we fix that. And if they don't know who they're targeting, we fix that. And then once that's done, we're focused on them. So building the brand to match the person. So, and that's not serious. I mean, Canva really makes everything achievable nowadays. So you align the colors, you align the look, you align it to the people that you're trying to attract. And then it's about the hard part, which is the work ethic. So we work backwards, essentially using math. We say, we know the numbers that it takes. We know the conversion rates that it takes to get a sale, because at the end of the day, who cares if you have 100,000 followers if you're not making money? And I know too many people who have 100,000 followers and aren't making any money. So that being said, if you could have 100, I have 100 followers on my jewelry business right now, and I'm doing great. Again, so you need to know your conversion rates. How many posts or what kind of posts or whatever does it take for you to get a certain sale? And then you figure out your goal, and then you work backwards. We also do where we expect you to do reach out. So and it's not a it's really not like this personal thing where you got to write these private emails every day. It's a numbers game. Sales is a numbers game. So you're going out, you're taking your Instagram, you're going in the DMs. I can send you scripts too if you like. I have no problem with any of that. And you get to know people. Through this, you're going to get followers. You're going to get people who buy. You're going to get people who want to buy in 6 months when they can afford it. You're going to get all sorts of stuff. You're going to get people who want to work for you, who want to work with you. It's just insane what you get. And then from there, it's pushing them to the next thing. So it's either getting their email with a freebie or some kind of deal or something, or getting them on the phone for a sales call, depending on if it's a high ticket thing or not, right? So, or getting them booked at the salon or getting them booked and whatever. If it's a subscription, you want their email, because most people need 7 interactions with your business to even start to trust you. So nobody's gonna get subscriptions from just posting and hoping on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook or anything. They're gonna get it from their email and their text message services. So the goal then is, how many text message or email subscriptions do you need, and how many emails or text messages do you need to put out to actually get a sale? And then from there, it's automated. You just do those numbers and it starts, the conversion rates match. And on top of that, the reach out is also automated. It can be automated and it can be given away. So I actually teach them how to hire what we call people, like we call them messengers, but people who literally work for commission in your DMs as you, and book appointments, book sales, book calls, book everything. And this is how you start to grow and push things away from you. And then your focus becomes those people. Are you motivating them on a daily basis? Are they selling for you? Are you helping them grow? Right. And that's how you push into 6 figures. And we were able to push in 6 figures is because we had people who were doing the selling while I was able to work. And so, but you start with you. It's just you. In fact, you don't even mess with other people until we call it the 15K machine. So it's a machine where you have to at least be making 15K a month before you start hiring people, because you just can't, your business can't afford it. So, and on top of that, you want to do it yourself because you want to be able to train your clients properly. The worst thing is when you're hiring people, and you don't know how to train them and you don't even know when they're messing up. What a waste of your money. So it all has to happen first from you. So you learn. And honestly, our system that we do, we push people into 6 figures in 3 months. That's all it takes, is 3 months of consistent action, and you're at 6 figures. And now it may be a lower end 6 figures if you're, the average price point for my clients right now is about $100 per sale. So, if it may be more. It may be that it gets you to 5,000 a month, and then you've got to, double your work, or you need to raise your prices, or, all that stuff matters. All that stuff is important. We look into if they need to raise their prices. We actually have a formula for that to see, because you have to incorporate, the time spent and all that stuff. You need to know if your rates are even, if your pricing is even paying you. Most business owners don't know how to pay themselves properly, or how to formulate correct pricing that involves the cost of them working, the cost of their business, the cost of their services. They don't think like most girls like me will buy a necklace. Let's say you buy a necklace, an 18K gold necklace for $3, and you sell it for $25 or something. They think, oh, I just made $22. No, you didn't. You probably made like 7, because you have to incorporate all of the other stuff, but you have to learn how to do that properly. And so all these things and stuff, this is what we teach. And yeah, everybody who does the work, they get the results. I've even had girls who join me and they go from 5,000 followers to 15,000 followers. And it's strictly through, the posting, scheduling stuff that we give them, which is basically posting 3 times a day, different kind of stuff that attracts them. But how are they going to know what the client is attracted to if they don't know who their client is? So that's why I focus 80% on the foundation, 20% on sales and results, if that makes sense.
No, it makes good sense. Perfect sense.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good. Yeah. You gave us the game right there. That was the game,
Yeah, I promise. That's what it's all it is. Most people just aren't doing the right steps. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree, because I know I have to spend a lot of time, trying to. That's what we always try to do right there, is we try to know who the customers are. We try to know who, that's why we ask these questions, and we get an idea, and it helps. It helps me. It helps him. It helps everybody. You know what I mean? There's no wrong that's going on, so it's only helpful.
I really like the clients that work with me. I really challenge them. I try and kind of be the bad guy when I'm with them. Like I really, if they give me some crap like 18 to 50, and for instance, let's say that's a minority-owned business who wants to target minorities, because hair growth is, for instance, something that minorities like to focus on, because there's more issues there. Okay, well, don't tell me that you want to target Black women ages 25 to 50 who live like all over the US. That's, oh my gosh, one day you will. But right now, we got to pick like, let's say African American women, not just Black, but African American women ages 27 to 35, because that's typically when they start to have those issues, or maybe it's 18 to 20. You know what I'm saying? These numbers because you did the research of when the pain is the most, or when it's most apparent to them, right? So like, let's say it's a kid, you want kids too, but kids don't really care because they typically just get their hair braided. They don't care. But women who are spending thousands of dollars on hair extensions, and they're all these hours of it being put in every month, and then and they're losing their hair and they're struggling, and they just want natural hair, and they see other Black women who have natural hair, who figured out how to grow it and take care of it or whatever. That's a real pain for these women. And then what you do is your marketing and the things that you talk about on a daily basis, you talk about this stuff. You talk about what that person is going through on a daily basis. Maybe you explain it in a reel or in a caption, and you actually show the pain. Then you have all these women who are like, that's how I feel. You've got me down. Wait, you're saying that, what's this shampoo you offer? What does that do? Right.
Yeah.
Now you've got them. Now maybe you don't even got them to get a sale. Now you've got them because they want to know what's going on with the freebie. Maybe the PDF is 5 things they're missing right now, that they're actually doing right now, messing up, that's causing them to lose hair faster, or it's causing alopecia or whatever, right? And they're like, wait, what? That's me. Hold on, I'm putting in my email because that's worth it. Right now, you have this client that now you can talk to for so long, whatever it takes for them to make a sale. Maybe they need to wait till payday. Well, guess what? You just focus on posting every day. They may see you once, but they're gone. There's 50 things they're thinking about every day, especially women, right? So they're thinking about so much. They've got so much on their plate. They're not thinking about your product, even though you did a post today. So you think you worked, you think you did good, but you didn't work. That was nothing. There's a whole thing to all this, So yeah, so that's an example. So I really challenge my clients on the market research.
Yeah.
Well, you're right about that. That's got to be done. You got to look up and look out for what you're supposed to be doing. You can't just be
what hurts
thinking that one shot of an email is going to do it. You got to layer a foundation for that, and thinking like you're saying, some of these women they look at it the first time and they see you again, and then if you're consistent on your end, one of those clicks is going to come.
Exactly. And nobody's
go right. And that's in a
problem.
lot of
right. And so success is a byproduct of just consistently doing the action. And so, when people ask me, well, what are you promising? And first of all, I say, I'm not promising anything. I can't control what you're doing. If you're not going to listen to me, I can't tell you that, oh, you're going to just get your money back because something didn't happen. I'm not a magician. Are you going to work? Are you going to do it? Are you going to actually do everything I say? Because I promise you that if you were just consistent for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, it's a byproduct. So money is a byproduct of the effort, the work, the doing the right things. Your problem maybe I'm talking about like a specific client saying this, but that client their issue might not even be work. They may be hard workers, but they're not even doing what they think they're supposed to be doing. So that all that gets corrected and the results are a byproduct. And so that's why I never worry about that. Mm-hmm.
I like that because I'm just going to say one thing regarding that. Back in the day when they had fax machines, they didn't have no emails. I used to take my resume and I used to send it to like 50 people. I go to sleep. I might say, what are you doing? I'm just faxing 50 people. By the time I wake up in the morning, babe, I guarantee you somebody's going to be calling me for an interview. I'm not going to stress out over it because I'm just going to mail a mass faxing, and I would get a couple calls in the morning. It's kind of the same thing.
But I can't tell you how many people apply for a job a week and they say, there's no jobs. I gotta there's for me, right? So the work has to be done. Yeah, it's not the end all be all. Like I said, you're gonna burn out at some point if you just focus on your personal efforts. But you have to learn how to work first before I had to make money first and then realize, okay, now that's not it. That's not all. That's not the end goal, Yeah.
Yeah. Those were some good scenarios, especially like the work, because you're going to have to put in, like, even get my jobs. I like that little scenario best because, I think I might have to use that because you can say, hey, nobody's
I
hiring,
tell them
nobody's hiring,
too.
but how many places did you actually go to and then say that nobody's
Yeah,
hiring? You only went to
and I
like
tell them
20 places or
too.
something. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was
even
good.
like with the DMs, that you're gonna do things you don't want to do. It's not about that, right? So you're gonna nobody wants to sit there and talk to 25 people a day on the DMs, and 15 of them don't even respond, and 9 are rude, and one's awesome. Nobody wants to do that every day, but success isn't for everybody. You know what I mean? And that's it's like, okay, well, dude, there are so many jobs. You may be a wonderful employee. I may have something for you in my business, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's like, you do it or you don't do it. That's it. It's not my problem. You're not paying me to be this, magic pill for you. That's not the world,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So yeah. So yeah. But
Wow,
yes,
It's
wow,
great.
wow,
Fantastic.
wow. I like to ask you something. Can you tell us anything that we may not have covered that you would like to be able to get out to the viewers out there, that maybe just take a minute and mention those things that you would like to have, maybe we didn't get to, as well as take a minute to introduce your business, your website, and all of that information right into this camera?
yeah. So I feel like I covered a lot. I feel like it's probably overwhelming with how much information I've like just thrown out there. I would say, if anything, out of everything I've said, and you can always go back and just like kind of through the different stages of your business, kind of like try and get something new for yourself. But the biggest thing I would say is, the foundational stuff matters. It sounds so lame to hear somebody say self-care or make sure you're meditating 20 minutes a day. But if you looked at the science, and if you looked at yourself like you're a body, and that body requires certain things, your mind is so much a part of your business that you don't recognize. And I promise you, whether it's your first $100 or your first $100,000 or your first $1,000,000, at some point it's going to catch up to you, and you're going to have to deal with it anyway. So you actually can get success a lot faster by fixing the mind first. And so just focus on that. Get a book and just tell yourself, it's, what I tell my clients, I require my clients to either listen 15 minutes to a good audio, or 10 pages, or read 10 pages of a good book a day. And because I need you expanding, I need you learning, I need you growing. It's not just about the do, because I promise you, whether it's your first no, or the person who is angry at you and because you messed up and you don't know how to handle that or whatever, you have to improve yourself, because the level that you're at right now, that's your paycheck that you're getting is exactly what you deserve at the level that you're at right now. So if you want to receive more income, you want to be of value, and you want to be worth more, then you need to focus on yourself and create yourself worthy. You have to make yourself worthy of that income, and that requires you. And so focus on that, and yeah, like take the you time. Like people say, oh, meditation is not, it sounds crazy. It's like yoga and stuff. You need to have alone time. You need to be by yourself 20 minutes a day minimum, even if that's a quick 20 minutes, like where everybody's asleep and it's just you have to be alone with your thoughts. Number one, this time frame is enough for your body to heal. This means no thinking, just no thoughts, just clear. You need clearness. You need to know how to be with yourself. This heals your brain and the trauma stuff that is happening to you, and the survival mode that you're in. But two, it allows that quiet and stillness for you to have a clear mind and look at things from a different side rather than emotional, right? We say, why isn't there a woman president yet? It's because we say, oh, women are emotional. Well, what? Okay, so emotional means that you're running on emotion, which means that it's not always the most logical thing. So you have got to learn how to tap into that logical side of you. And this isn't based on women. I'm just saying that's, one of the reasons people say. So what I'm trying to say is like, so much of us, we just go off of emotion, we react. We don't respond. We don't have the ability to just respond. And unfortunately, a lot of us, a lot of the minorities, because we've grown up and we've lived in survival mode, that we react, we don't respond. And we're known for this. I can't tell you how many people have called me an angry Latina. It's crazy, or like my friends are like, no, I'm the angry Black woman. It's like, but why are we like this? Because we're in survival mode. constantly. And this is how we survive, how we live our life. We don't even know we're doing this stuff, right? So we have to get in control of ourselves, because you have to be a bigger person. You have to be this amazing person to achieve all this stuff in your life. And so, hey, don't get me wrong, like I still I'm still snappy. My husband would definitely tell you that I am still a scary, angry Latina sometimes. But at the same time, like that stillness and stuff there's so many results in my life that have changed because I didn't just respond, and I didn't need to get mine. I didn't need to get that out there. I didn't need to, uh, like maybe me a few years ago, I would have told that lady off and told her, you're not getting my stuff. And that would have felt good to me to say, you're not actually, we can't service you. We can't help you. It would have felt good for me to say no to her. But instead, I did what was more logical, what a man would have done honestly. Like most men, what do they care? Most men don't even care when people say things, and they're like, whatever, and they've got their goal in mind and they go for that. So, I just focused on what, like I said, the things that I've been focusing on, which is being of service, being challenging myself, saying, Erika, can you handle this person? Can you handle this and get the money that you want, out of this? And, and again, I got a good result out of that versus just a story of where I was, I got to tell somebody off for the 50th time, so it's, it's life is a journey and being successful is a part of it. It's all together. And then, yeah, if you want to find me, it just depends on what you want. So, graphic design and stuff, I actually teach, I even teach beauty people how to do their own graphics if they want on Photoshop, not Canva. And all sorts of stuff. They want things to look good. You may want to be a graphic designer yourself, want some side income or something. That's herdigitalempire.com. My ericaglam.com is for anybody who needs to learn. We do basically coaches and beauty businesses is what our focus, but you can talk to me, if you're like soaps or something, I can still help. You just have to let me know. And then Always Blinks is our jewelry business. And so, yeah, I'm all over the place, and actually closing the doors hopefully on web design soon, so I can focus on the other stuff. So that's all you. You can have those clients.
Okay. I'll take them.
And I will refer them to you.
That's a lot of work.
Hopefully, last website that I'm doing.
Yeah. Keith.
That's so great. Well, it's been so great talking to you. I really think we've learned a lot, and this has been one of those things that we're continuing to get insight from and help us to be able to better understand how small businesses work and the efforts that's put into it. And you've definitely shown us through all of the different things you've been through, whether it was the health situation, whether it's the mental health situation, or whether it's just being able to be a person that cares about others. You're doing all of those things, and we definitely appreciate it. So I really want to tell you that KF&JF podcast is really excited that you decided to come on. You decided to put yourself in this position of on the spotlight. You're the star in here. So we are definitely just so appreciative of that, and can't thank you enough for that. And so I really like to thank you. Razak, if you have something you'd like to say.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate you.
Thanks for coming on. We always drag this out. This is, it was insightful. Thanks, thanks for letting us, allowing us to hear a part of your life, and how I wish you more success.
Thank you so much.